So I had a really interesting day yesterday and just want to share it with you. I haven't got the footage because it was seized from me, stolen, I would say. Anyway, but I had an interesting day, and it started off with a meeting, a fellowship that I go to, and in that meeting, someone shared that they had been to another meeting and they wanted to talk, and they were not picked by a person who really didn't like them. And this guy said he prayed for seeing everybody through the eyes of unconditional love, and he wanted to pray for the ability to drop the resentment that he had towards this person just because this person didn't like him, and pray for the person to have a good and peaceful and joyful and healthy life. And then I went on to McDonald's once again, same place that I went to for the Daily Mail thing, and carried on doing my thing. And a PCSO came up to me and says, "Excuse me, so please can you move on?" And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because you're causing a commotion." So I just carried on the megaphone. So, "Oh, really? Commotion's against the law?" And then he said, "No, actually, you're distracting the shoppers." So I said, "Oh, is that against the law?" And he sort of moved away and got on his radio and called for police backup. And three officers came along, had a little chat with him, and one of them came up to me, and I think her name was Rachel, and she said, "Hi, I'm the woman who wrote to you and told you we're discontinuing the last case that they were getting me for." And she was absolutely delightful, and she said to me, it takes time to educate other police officers and PCSOs, and to educate them that what you're doing is completely okay and legal, and you have freedom to express yourself. And she said, "I'm really sorry that you were disturbed. Please carry on." It was an amazing moment, and I did catch it on camera. But I'll let you know now what happened with that footage. So I then carried on, and it was kind of started to rain a little bit. So I went to Euston Station, where they have a huge outside area. And of course, that's all owned by Network Rail. And you've got this whole thing about the British Transport Police that, in my opinion, have a conflict of interest, because on the one hand, they claim they're paid partly or fully by Network Rail, who are a private organisation for profit, making loads of profit out of people. And part of the way they profit from people, by the way, is to put loads of awful stores all around their stations. You're being accosted by all these horrible Burger King and awful food stores, and then they charge you once you've bought all that food to go to the toilet. And you've got these British Transport Police that are enforcing, using the power of the law and the money and the court system and the violence behind it, to enforce laws such as Railway Bylaw 7, which is that you're not allowed to sing if it's to the annoyance of someone else. Either use amplified sound or sing, and so I go there quite often, and they've tried to prosecute me before. Anyway, yesterday I went there, and eventually a police officer came up to me, a BTP officer, and he said to me, "How long are you going to be doing this?" Which is, if any police officers are watching, that is the key question. As long as they ask me that question, that's great, because then I usually say 5-10 minutes, and they say, "All right, fine, carry on," and there's no problems. And he asked me that, and I said 10 minutes. He said fine, and I carried on, and then I went. But what happened yesterday? This was the day before yesterday. Yesterday I was doing my thing, and a police officer who I'd had a whole thing with a few weeks before was obviously finding me really annoying, or what I was doing. He was really angry about it. And he came up to me and he said to me, "Right, you're breaking Railway Bylaw 7. I'm afraid you have to stop doing this." And I said, "Well, what is the wording of Bylaw 7?" knowing full well what it was. And he read out, "To the annoyance of anyone, you're not allowed to use amplified sound without permission." So I said to him, "Well, who's annoyed?" And he said, "Well, I'm annoyed." And I sort of got the megaphone out, ready to sort of tell everyone, "What do you mean you're annoyed?" And the minute I got the megaphone, I said, "Right, you're under arrest." Under arrest, right? So at first I just went into flight mode, and I just ran away from him, and he tugged at my jumper, and I just lost it. And eventually I just gave up and realised that there was no point in doing this. And he got the handcuffs on me, and a few other officers came along. And then one officer said to me, "Look, my name's Tom. What's your name? Listen, Just go along with it. It's not going to be reversed. Okay, so I calmed down, got in the back of the van with my handcuffs on, and they took me down to the police station. And I was there in the sergeant, at the custody office suite, as they call it, the custody suite. Um, he said, listen, I'm here to, as an impartial person. Um, and the officer who arrested me, his name was Ian. He then told the officer his version of events, and the sergeant said, well, did you get his name, and did he refuse to give you his details? And the guy said no. So he said, well, why did you arrest him? You could have just got his name and details, and you could have, reported him for this offence. Anyway, so then he said, all right, then fine. So then he kind of said, well, you can do this now. So he started getting his notebook out, and he, asked my name and address. And he'd taken a camera, which I just bought recently, like a GoPro style camera that I had on my chest. And he confiscated it for evidence. Anyway, so he asked me a whole bunch of questions. And I was answering his questions with questions until he just gave up. And then at the end, he said, do you have anything more to say? And I said, yeah. I said, I was at a meeting today, and a guy in the meeting said that he was praying for letting go of any resentment he had towards anybody, and to see everybody through the eyes of unconditional love. So I just wanted to let you know that I've been praying for the last 20 minutes that you should have a life of joy, peace, and well-being. And he was like writing it, scribbling it all down, everything he wrote in his notebook, pages upon pages of all these questions I was asking him, and then writing about the unconditional I love for him. He started smiling and laughing, and I'd said something like, even though you've been a very, very naughty boy, and he's writing down very naughty boy, very, very naughty boy, I still forgive you, because you couldn't help it. And I hope you have a wonderful life. And I left the police station, and on the way out, we had a lovely chat, and it was a good vibe. It was amazing, the power of prayer and seeing through people through unconditional love, even people who've done things to us that we don't like. And I told him I felt that he'd kidnapped me. It was a gross violation for something speaking. But it was wonderful, a wonderful moment. And just as I left the police station, and he dropped his wallet with his warrant card in and walked off. So I went over and I picked up the wallet, knocked on the door, and I said, I think you might want this. And he said, wow, you're a legend. And we left like that. And he's still got my camera. But I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope one day I can, when I get that footage back, and I'm also going to get the footage from the police station, I can share that with you. Have a great day.